Welcome back to NBC3 News at 5:30. All eyes are now in New York as voters hit the polls tonight to cast their ballots in the presidential primary.
Tonight we also want to look towards the future, though, and find out how the primaries will shape the general election in November when people actually are voting for just two candidates and selecting the president. Trying to get a forward feel for this after we get through tonight. We'll need to know that, won't we? Here to discuss that, though, is Jonathan Parent, political science professor from Le Moyne College, who we've seen a few times during this campaign, although you've usually been up on campus when our camera has gone to find you. But thanks for joining us. And first of all, what's your assessment of how things you expect they will unfold tonight? Will there be any surprises by night's end?
I doubt it. If the polls are to be believed, which I think they've been pretty good. I think we're going to see a pretty strong Clinton win and a pretty strong Trump win on the Republican side.
All right, so what happens from here then, after New York, and we head towards the convention?
Well, the next major states to vote are going to be Pennsylvania and Delaware and Connecticut, some of the other northeastern states where Trump's expected to do really well as well, and so is Clinton. So I'm not sure we're going to see a lot of change until we get really late in the season out to California on June 7th.
And then what could happen there, which takes us into the rest of the summer and getting closer to that convention, do you think?
Well, it's really going to depend on how California votes. They vote the same way we do, which is proportionally. And so if Donald Trump's able to lock up enough of the votes there, then I think he's probably got a good shot of getting to the convention with enough votes to lock up the nomination on the first ballot. But really, we're really not sure how the polls are looking in California right now, so it's tough to say.
What has surprised you over the course of the last year?
Well, I mean, I think just like anyone else, I've been pretty surprised about Donald Trump's rise. I think I've been a little bit surprised, too, at how long Bernie Sanders has lasted and what his support's been like as well. So, yeah.
It seems like about maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, Hillary Clinton had made that shift. I'm going to start campaigning on more of a general election basis. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders, as you look at the national polls, has closed the gap in terms of the conversation, although you're still seem pretty confident that Secretary Clinton will get the nomination. But when can she make that pivot? Or does she need to kind of play both sides of this as a campaigner right now to know, I still need to fend off Bernie Sanders, but I got to start looking at Donald Trump, too?
Well, I think she'd probably be well advised to keep fending off Bernie Sanders until the end of the primaries, if only to keep his voters from sort of becoming too disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. But I think that she'll have plenty of time to pivot, given how long it's going to take the Republicans likely to wrap up their nomination.
What about the Republicans? There's been talk of this contested convention. What will this presidential cycle mean for the future of the Republican Party?
That's a really open question. They could really go two ways. They could open it up a lot more in the sense of making it more Democratic, which is sort of what Donald Trump has been saying recently, or they could sort of go more of the route the Democratic Party's done, which is the route of superdelegates and sort of allowing the party to have more control over who their nominee is.
Are you looking forward to that Republican convention as a political scientist to see how things go?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think all political scientists are pretty excited to see how that pans out, since a lot of us weren't even born the last time there was a contested convention in 1976.
All right, so looking ahead to November, what are your predictions then here?
I really can't make any predictions, I don't think, at this point, particularly not on the Republican side. Again, I don't see any reason that Hillary Clinton probably won't sort of wrap it up and eventually get the nomination. And I think she'll have the support of Bernie Sanders, supporters and the rest of the party behind her. But as far as the Republican goes, I mean, that really could go either way.
An open book at this point, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan Parent, for joining us tonight. We appreciate that, getting all that expertise.
Thanks for having me.
Still ahead tonight on NBC3 News at 5.